My name is May Queeling Doricott and I am the Our World Underwater Scholarship Society's 2017 European ROLEX Scholar. I'm sorry I couldn't make it to DEMA this year, but you know how it is, adventuring and scuba diving to be done. Not exactly adventuring at the moment, I'm in Malaysia visiting some family, but whilst you watch this in DEMA, I will be aboard the Rodney Fox Shark Experience diving with great white sharks on the Neptune Islands. Whilst I do that, here's a little update of what I've been up to so far during my year. The goals for my scholarship year were threefold: be able to watch science in action, learn how to communicate it, and push my diving to the next level. So I began with the latter. One of the first activities I did was visit one of our amazing sponsors, Apex, and I did a regulator maintenance course, and then following this, jumped straight into the deep end without doing any technical diving before, decided to learn how to use a rebreather. I had the amazing Mark Powell, writer for Deco for Divers, all to myself for my TDI CCR L diluent course in Chepstow and Bobster Key. Yes, my amazing scholarship year travelling all around the world started off in quarries. Honestly, it was quite tricky relearning how to dive without any bubbles, and at times I got super frustrated. But with Mark's help, it eventually clicked, and when it did, it felt so cool, literally like flying. I wanted to then keep on building up on my experience with the rebreather. So I packed up my bags and headed over to Grand Cayman. I had the amazing team at Dive Tech to help me out with the rebreather and learn the ins and outs of day-to-day use of the AP Evolution. I was able to build up time on the unit in the warm and calm Caribbean Sea, and by the end of my time there I had 26 hours on the unit. At this point I felt that I was ready to use the rebreather as a tool for science. I was invited by the award-winning Sonia Rowley to Ponape in Micronesia for a scientific expedition using rebreather technology to explore the mesophotic reefs, the environment where light dwindles away. Daily, Sonia would go down to 140 meters, where gorgonians, the organisms that dominate these deep reefs, thrive. 6 hours later, she would pop up. Sonia, what have you found?
New species of Parysis, right? And it's awesome. I love it. Found it on a wave-cut ledge, ran at 100 meters depth, on Paquin Atoll. No one's ever been there before, ever. Love it.
Here it is, the new species. I didn't join Sonia down to these depths, but instead stayed with others on the expedition in the shallow reefs from 30 meters upwards and gathered data on the distribution of sponges. This was going to help Sonia in later experiments that she had planned. Being able to learn alongside Sonia was a privilege. She was fiercely passionate and so tenacious. She inspired me every day to continue to fuel my curiosity and just enjoy being in the water. We were diving places that no one else had been to. It was a true adventure. But like every great adventure, there's always a villain. And the reefs of Ponape, the most remote place that I have ever been to, was suffering from bleaching, algae overgrowth, overfishing, a high density of crown of thorns. The shallow reefs were really suffering, and if you weren't a diver, you wouldn't know. So I wanted to learn how to engage others who don't dive into the world that held my undivided attention. So I wanted to build up a skill in underwater photography. But first, I had to learn how to put all the gear together. So myself and Leah Potts, the North American ROLEX scholar, headed over to Denmark to meet up with Lars Kierkegaard and the photographic crew who gave us a crash course in underwater photography. And now I was ready for my 2-week underwater photography course over in the Red Sea with the amazing Dr. Alex Mustard. The workshop was a fantastic environment to solely concentrate on photography. I was surrounded by talented photographers and by amazing scenes to snap. The workshop was timed exquisitely to see the spawning of boha snappers, batfish and barracuda. Alex taught me to seek images that were not just an ID of an animal, but kept the viewer's attention. You wanted it to be intriguing and wanted the viewer to ask questions about what they saw. I also learned how to save images properly and to change my batteries every so often so my camera didn't die when the dolphins finally turned up. I saw the power of imagery back in Ponape. The guys on Sonia's expedition presented their research through pictures and videos to the local college. And I'm not exaggerating one bit, but the jaws of the students literally dropped when they saw the amazing life that their reefs held. And when they saw how their reefs were deteriorating, their attention was locked. You know, we were worried that they were going to fall asleep halfway through the lecture, but in actual fact, we couldn't leave the college for the amount of questions that we were being asked. How do we save our reefs? What should we do? How should we approach our local politicians to change these things? It really inspired me and gave me hope to how we could invigorate the next generations to want to protect our seas. I think the effect of including local communities in conservation efforts is invaluable. It was a communal effort to be able to implement Fiji's first marine reserve, now the home to the famous Benga Adventure Dive's bull shark dive, which I was able to enjoy with my scholar sister Melinda Brown, the 2017 Australasian scholar. And with financial benefits trickling into the local villages from the tourist attraction, they're more willing to help out with conservation efforts, as I saw when I helped out with projects abroad shark tagging. One of the local villagers who accidentally caught a shark kept it for the volunteers to tag. They saved the shark and rather than selling it as a commodity, helped out with the conservation efforts. I still have so much to learn in terms of scuba diving. I mean, just recently I completed my GUE fundies on a twin set tank and I was pushed to make my skills perfect and my trim as flat as it could be. And more recently, I was invited by William Tan to Lembe and was reminded of my love for the small critters in the sea. I was able to see animals that I've only ever really read about in textbooks. And then during black water dives, I saw critters I thought I would never see or even really thought about. They were these amazing alien life forms that were zooming around in the dark. But in the dark, the ominous threat that had been looming over my year so far reappeared. A place with the most biodiversity I have ever seen was plagued by plastic. And what really scared me was everyone's attitude towards it. They were saying that the plastic had always been there and that it provided a home for the animals. I think we have to be really aware of these shifting baselines in our perception to what is natural. Otherwise, if we're not careful, we'll forget how the oceans should look like. With 107 dives since June, visiting 4 continents so far, I've had the most amazing year. Thank you to the Our World Underwater Scholarship Society for providing me this opportunity to explore my passion of the seas. And thank you to ROLEX for supporting this incredible scholarship program. I cannot stress how thankful I am for your support and also to all the other sponsors who have helped me get to this point so far. To all the hosts and mentors that I've met along the way, thank you for helping me see how I can contribute to this wonderful blue world. And thank you to Jim Standing, who has been the most amazing coordinator, arranging experiences that fit perfectly within the scope of my interests. With ghost fishing net projects, killer whales and a Lindblad expedition still to go, I have no doubt that the second half of my year is going to be just as amazing as the